carbonara is truly one of those classic Roman pasta dishes. It's been around for centuries, and because of this, usually comes a lot of rules. The good news is, I'm not Italian, so I'm going to be happy to take a lot of the heat here so we can do whatever we think is most delicious. In my version here, we're going to be adding a smoky twist. I think it goes perfect with that egg and pepper flavor that is so prominent in the pasta, so let's go ahead and get after it. One thing that's really nice about this pasta is how little ingredients you actually need, but this does make it all the more important that you use good quality ingredients here. This pasta is traditionally made with spaghetti, but I'm actually going to be using a bucatini. It's a bit thicker noodle. The first smoky element of this carbonara is going to come from the form of some really good smoked pancetta. And make sure you don't skimp on the quality here, as a lot of the flavor from this dish is going to come from this pancetta. A replacement of this, of course, would be some good thick cut bacon. Eggs, of course, are going to be the star of the sauce, so make sure you get some good ones at the store. And then as for cheese, I'm going to be using half Pecorino Romano and half Parmigiano Reggiano. You can go full Parmigiano here if you want, but make sure it's the real stuff, none of that canned nonsense. So first up here, we're going to start grating our cheese. You want to do that on the finest side of your grater, so it's kind of like a powder, about a quarter cup or 50 grams of both Parmesan and Pecorino. Next up, we're going to cut up some of our pancetta into nice bite-sized pieces. For this recipe, we're going to be using about a quarter pound or 120 grams of that smoked pancetta. To make the sauce that's going to be going in with your pasta, we're going to start by cracking some eggs directly into our cheese mix. We're going to be using 2 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk here to add a little bit more richness. You're going to mix that up and add about a tablespoon or 6 grams of freshly ground black pepper. You can go ahead and set that aside and let's get some water boiling. And as always with your pasta, you want to generously salt that water so it tastes like the sea. And not saying you actually have to taste it, but just want to see how committed you are to this. You probably don't need instructions on how to boil water, but the biggest thing here that I want to remind you is please, please do not forget to save some of that pasta water before you throw it all away. Please. I know I've done it a million times, I know you've probably done it a million times, so let's just skip it, huh? Now while your pasta boils, we can start to saute our pancetta. You're going to add just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to get things going, and you're going to saute this until it's nice and crispy. You'll notice all of that incredible flavorful fat start to render into your pan, and when you throw those noodles in, that's what's going to be coating your pasta and really helping season it. Also, the amount of times I burned myself just trying to eat a piece of this is really unreal. So when your pasta is perfectly al dente, you're going to throw those noodles in there and start to evenly coat them in that pancetta fat. You're also going to want to throw in just a little bit, I would say about a quarter cup of that starchy pasta water to kind of build a base before we add that eggy cheese mixture. Also, now is when you want to cut the heat. Right before you add that eggy cheesy mixture, which apparently I can't stop saying, you really want to make sure that there's not a lot of residual heat in the pan, and you want to stir. You want to keep on stirring and making sure you're always moving the pasta. This is what's going to guarantee you that you end up with a beautifully creamy sauce and not scrambled eggs in a pan. So if you do all this, after just a couple minutes of mixing, you'll be met by a beautifully silky sauce that is incredibly rich and flavorful. Of course, you're going to want to taste and season that with salt and pepper, but you're ready to plate now. And when you are plating, don't forget to scoop on some of that pancetta that tends to like to hide at the bottom. Really important. Now, this would be a perfectly fine place to stop and maybe even a recommended place to stop, but of course we're not. So I did tell you that this was going to be a smoked carbonara, so once that pasta is plated, I fired up the old electric smoker and let that hang out for about 5 minutes. Now, I really didn't know what to expect and didn't know how much flavor it was going to add to this, but I'm serious, this worked out perfect. The richness of the sauce and the smoke combined so well that I practically invited the whole neighborhood to polish this off. So go ahead and give this recipe a shot. I'm serious, it was just incredible. Even without the smoke part, this pasta is the perfect weeknight pasta or dinner party dish that really makes you look like you know what you're doing, because now you do. Also, while you watch us eat this pasta, go down below and like the video. For every like, Maverick gets another piece of pancetta. I know he'd appreciate it. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe. I'm gonna have a lot more videos coming and you just might like them. But until then, I'll see you next time, and don't forget to elevate it.